Good morning, gentlemen. Great to see you guys.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
Good morning.
It's I was just saying to Simon before we started recording, I've just been for breakfast with my wife and some mothers from the school, of which one mother is from Switzerland.
Mm.
And the Swiss people, although the media won't put this out, are not happy at all with what UBS has done with the takeover of Credit Suisse, with the help of the National Bank of Switzerland, the Swiss National Bank, because they weren't prepared to put their hand in their pocket to help out the Swiss nationals when their pension fund was empty. And yet 15 minutes it took them to decide to help Credit Suisse out. And this is a real reality. And what they've done is they've just plugged a little hole. Just so that you know, the assets that are now held with the UBS and Credit Suisse represent the grand total of 0.03 of 1% of their position. So just as an example, if you had £1 million in the bank with them, you'd get 30 grand back if you were lucky and you waited long enough to get it.
Wow.
And then when you take the admin costs out of it, it would be considerably less. So this is, if that doesn't wake people up to taking control of their destiny, their financial state, then nothing will. And I've said it 2 or 3 times in the last 4 or 5 days. I chose to take my money out of the banking system 3 years ago. I would rather be 3 years early than 1 day late.
Yeah. It's something we've always said, Adam, isn't it? It's get on the train before it leaves this flipping station. That's what we've always said, isn't it?
And even
get on it when it's already gone.
The independent financial experts are actually saying on mainstream that this is just literally a stopgap, and that there's more pain to come. Now they're even saying that now, Charlie.
Yeah. Look, I've been saying it for 3 years. They're going to shut down the world's economy for a global financial reset. That was my line 3 years ago. And this is the process of shutting down the world's economy, shutting down the banking system, and it is being done on purpose. This is why what our conversation this morning is so important. It depends on you as a person. Some people out there won't want to take control of their destiny, won't want to take responsibility because they've lived in a generation where you've taken no responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
So it's alien to you.
And I can understand it to some degree. Some people are so fearful that they're paralyzed.
Yeah.
I hear that, but look, we woke up. Other people have woken up. I mean,
It can be done.
how much more information needs to go out there?
Yeah.
I don't think it's information. Yeah, I don't think it is information.
Banks are collapsing in front of their very eyes.
Yeah.
So it's not hearsay. It's really happening, and yet they are turning away from truth. So at the end, they will only have themselves to blame.
I think. Do you know, me and James were talking about this, and the fact that in the mainstream media they give you the information, which is all fear, paralyzes people. And I think it's an absolute outcry that they never give you a solution. There's never anything, here's what's happening and here's what you can do. It's always just things are going bad, things are getting worse, it's worse than we thought, and then they switch to something else, and then they switch back. So people just, they can't even grasp one idea and think, okay, let me see what I can do about that. Give me some information, give me some insight, give me some action steps. And I think that's where we've always said we want to give people, here's what's happening and here's what you can do about it. Because otherwise you are paralyzed. You know, I can totally understand why people do feel like that. Again, we've always said you got to take responsibility, and good, bad and ugly. You have to take it all on. But there are things you can do, and it's not that difficult. And once you kind of get your head out of that paralyzed mentality and out of that state. So
that happened to me at the age of 23, coming out of the religious cult. I was paralyzed mentally. That's why God chose me for this journey, because I've been through that process of knowing what brainwashing, indoctrination is all about.
Yeah.
It does take time. It does take time. And with my lifestyle, etc., for the first few years, I was all over the place. I didn't know who to trust, and I didn't have the advantages we have today of many people out there who are willing to help people through.
Yeah, there is.
Makes a huge difference.
It's all about just taking the first step. I realised this many years ago. You don't have to see the whole journey and allow that to stop you. Just take the first step, and then bit by bit, just keep heading the right direction, and eventually you'll get there. But just take the first step.
But we're running out of time. The thing is, Charlie, when you look back, you had the time to work that through. People now facing this, that there isn't years to get to that point. I mean, it's falling down around us now. And
the minute they go to the bank, Simon, and their ATM card doesn't work and the bank doors are shut, they wake up in a hurry, and then that's when they panic.
Too late.
But they've done nothing. They've done nothing to protect themselves because they didn't believe. They didn't listen.
Well, look, hopefully on this video, if people have heard other videos, hopefully this is the one. And we
look at Adam bringing it round. I just
want it to be positive, because I've actually me and James were chatting the other day and saying, gosh, I feel a little bit depressed by all this stuff, and you end up going down a rabbit hole. And even for us, we have to bring it back to, okay, what can we do? Because just consuming fear and what's going on, and it is scary. There is some stuff that we think we're not sure how this is going to pan out, but you have to bring it back to what you can do. And once you've worked that out, what you can do it. And we hear people saying, I've been watching your videos for 2 years, and all of a sudden the last video you did, and it could be nothing to do with anything that encouraging people to take action. They just said, it all just clicked and I'm going to do it. So hopefully this video will be that for many people. If they're not there already.
I hear that on all the calls. I hear that on so many calls now. That people have been just following us for so long, just decided to take action now. So that's all we're doing, Adam, isn't it? We're just trying to encourage people to take that action and do something. But the fear has ramped up definitely on the calls. But you can also feel the relief when we've gone through it together, when we've talked through some options and things that they can actually do to protect themselves. You can feel they're so grateful all of a sudden. They're like, oh, thank you so much. I didn't think of that, or I didn't think of this, or oh, you can do that, or I didn't know this. And just by taking the first step and starting to move forward and starting to take some action, they feel better within themselves, you can hear that in the voice.
People build momentum as well. That first step is usually the most scariest, because it's something into the unknown. But after that, you build momentum. You can see people's confidence. You can see the questions that they're asking. They get really into it, and it's great to see that we can put something out there and that it genuinely helps people. And they tell you, I sleep better at night knowing that I've taken responsibility. I'm outside the banking system, and whatever happens will happen. That's not in my control. But I know I've done my bit for myself and my family, and that's all you can do.
Sure.
Just do what you can.
When I looked at Mainstream today, it was saying that the Americans have put the quarter rate interest up, and Britain's about to do the same. And it said that's great, because now you might get 3.25% interest in your savings account. Then on the next article it said inflation is 10.6%.
Yeah.
So it's nonsense. They're making a big thing about 3% interest, and yet there's inflation at 10%. And the problem is that I still don't think people really are understanding how this is not just eroding, but it's eating into everyone's savings that's been paper money. Crazy.
Absolutely. It really is. It really frustrated me when banks would say, you get 0.01% interest. Call it what it is. It's zero. Why are we flirting around this idea of giving you nothing or less than nothing? But they just hang on to that one little number just above zero. Say what it is. You don't get anything. You're losing money. It's very frustrating.
Totally. Right. Come on then. You're desperate to push us forward. Come on, Adam. Come on, James. What are we doing today?
I'll hit you first with, we're not financial advisors. We only give you information, guys and girls. As we always do. We'll never, ever, ever advise you because, well, number one, we don't believe in it. We just don't believe in it. We believe in empowering you to make the right decisions yourself. We will help you, give you our thoughts, and discuss things with you to help you decide what's best for you. But we'll never, ever tell you what to do. And that's not what we're about. It never has been. So,
and I think in all of this, we have to say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. There has to be some element of hope. Otherwise, mentally, well, we know for ourselves, you go down very quickly. So look, for anyone that doesn't know what's been going on, let's try and capture everyone. We'll go from the ground up and make sure we pick up everyone on the way. So look, banks are collapsing. Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. And just to explain in normal plain English what's happened to them is they got a load of deposits. They took those deposits and said, we're going to go and invest those deposits and we're going to buy 10-year treasuries from the US government at a really low interest rate. But at the time, it was an okay deal. I mean, whether they should lock it in for 10 years or not is another thing. Then what happened is interest rates went up pretty quickly. And people said, well, I want my money. And then they had to sell these treasury bonds that they locked in at a low interest rate. Well, who do you sell them to? Who's going to buy something that's at a low interest rate when they could buy the same thing at a much higher interest rate today? So they had to take a loss and they didn't have the money. This is fundamentally why the problems occur, is because the banking system, please do your own research on this, it's called fractional reserve banking. And in simple terms, it says that the banks can lend out more money than they have. And it causes all sorts of problems because it only needs a few people to take their money out of the bank and the bank goes down very quickly. So this is in essence what's going on. Some other things that are very frustrating, infuriating. Executives in the bank, in Silicon Valley Bank, sold their shares a few days before the collapse and they paid out bonuses as well.
Yeah, that's insane.
So coincidence? You make your own mind up. And I think the other thing to be aware of is that 2008 is in everyone's rearview mirror and everyone's aware of what happened. And they're trying to, especially the government, are trying to dodge doing the same thing, bailing the banks out. So they're being creative with their language and with their tactics because people were really annoyed that banks took all these risks in 2008 and then they got bailed out and the taxpayer had to pay for it. But things are happening a lot quicker now as well. So in 2008, $16 billion was withdrawn in 10 days. Okay, so people started to build momentum and they wanted their money out. At Silicon Valley Bank, $42 billion was withdrawn in 48 hours.
Oh, Lord.
So this is, people know about 2008. It's not, it's not like generations and generations ago. It's a story that you read about in history. People live through it and they're very aware of it.
Yeah.
Also, Silvergate, Signature Bank, and First Republic are all in trouble. And First Republic is being helped out by other banks. And this is what the government don't want to do. They don't want to be giving money and seem to be bailing out banks in the same way that the US and the UK and Europe don't want a war with Russia. They want to fund Ukraine that's having a war with Russia. So it's indirect. So the government are helping these other banks and these other banks are then helping these struggling banks. So they're just one removed and it makes it a little bit easier for people to tolerate. But you can see what's happening. The banks are failing and they need to be propped up. And at the end of the day, if the government are helping people, it's coming out of taxpayers' pockets. They can devise all these different schemes, clever language, call it what they want. Yep. Government don't have any money. They get it from the people. So if they're bailing banks out, it's coming from us. No way around it.
It's always from us. It always has been from us.
Always.
They're just very clever at. They're like magicians, very clever magicians, aren't they?
Yeah, marketing.
Make us all think,
they just call it something else. Are you printing money? No, we're doing quantitative easing. What the heck does that mean? Just tell us what you're doing. We're creating money out of thin air and we're putting it in the pockets of big banks. That's the reality. As you were saying before, Charlie, Credit Suisse in an absolute mess because UBS don't really want to buy them out.
They
don't want to do it. The rivalry between UBS and Credit Suisse goes back years. But they've been incentivized, and the whole thing's been backed by the government, the Swiss government, because this whole phrase of saying we are helping banks that are systemically important, again, using all this complex terminology, that is code for too big to fail. And that's straight out of the 2008 playbook. Banks that were too big to fail were helping. And they have to. In their eyes, they have to do it. And
Adam, quickly, if I just come in and say the biggest thing I've noticed is the loss of confidence with investors. And I think that even if a bank's got reasonable amount of liquidity, they lose their confidence. It doesn't matter. They're finished. And what we noticed with these three banks was the confidence was full. And I'm waiting for the next bank. We haven't seen one in Britain yet, but it could be. I'm waiting for someone to pull their money and start saying they've lost the confidence. And when Moody's starts down pegging these banks and started doing that, that's the start of the loss of confidence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A few days before Credit Suisse collapsed, their chief executive said that they overshoot on capital requirements. So they have more money in reserve than is required. And they also overshoot on regulation. So they're saying, here's what the standard is, and we're above it. And days later, they collapse. They actually said we're in quotes, very strong, which is madness. And this is the whole thing, that banks are so interconnected. It's like a deck of cards. As soon as one starts falling, as you said, Simon, it has a knock-on effect to all the others.
Very quickly, the reason they said it was strong, and the banks will say they're strong, there's a reason for that. And that is so that the super rich can get their money out before they collapse. It's an inside job. So they'll convince the world, don't leave your money there. It's safe. Leave your money. And the truth is they're telling you to leave your money there so that they can get their money out.
I can totally believe it. Totally believe it. I just wish they would say it like it is. You know, they use terminology like material weakness. Okay, what does that mean? Is the bank failing or is it not? Like, what's actually going on? And all of this, when you look back through COVID, what governments did is they reduced the requirements for banks to hold money, meaning that they could go and risk money and they didn't have to hold as much back for deposits. And then it's no surprise that this kind of thing happens. It's madness. So look, what do we think the outcomes are going to be? And this, we love this picture. We think this picture
says everything.
Sums it all.
What you just said, Charlie.
So UBS taking over Credit Suisse after they had a
love it.
UBS took over Credit Suisse after a 54 billion Swiss franc bailout. They got all this money, and days later, UBS had to buy them. And you're totally right, Simon, that people don't buy this. And you can tell because when UBS bought Credit Suisse, the share price of UBS went down. People don't buy the narrative. They just don't buy what's going on. The interesting thing that's developed in the US with the deposit protection scheme, which is called the FDIC, it guarantees $250,000 per account in the event of a bank failing. Now, that would usually be a set figure, 250,000.
Who underwrites that guarantee?
Well, the way that it works is banks pay into this pot through fees, but it's flawed like all of this stuff. And here's why. The total pot is 125 billion, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But it only covers 0.03% of all deposits in US banks.
Jesus.
So it just doesn't cover the total. And what the Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, has said is, for Silicon Valley Bank, a bank that's systemically important, they've said that with this FDIC, they will cover all deposits. They will cover everything. Well, if the total's 125 billion and the first in line get all of their deposits, not the 250,000, but they get 3 billion and 10 million here and this there, what's left for everybody else?
Nothing.
Not a lot. At 125 billion, if everyone, let's say everyone had 250,000, that would be 500,000 people that it would cover. You start chipping out 10 million and 3 billion here and all this kind of stuff, then that number goes down very, very quickly, leaving less for everybody else. This is the reality. So if you're with a bank that's systemically important and too big to fail, then maybe there's a chance. But if not, then yeah, good luck is the reality.
So I suppose in the ideal world, the best bank to be with is the first one to go bankrupt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
The first biggest one to collapse, that's the one you want to be with.
Yeah. If you're with anybody else, no, you're not going to be in a very good position, are you?
It's slim pickings, and if you can pick the first biggest bank to collapse, then you're probably a pretty good investor if you can pick those kind of things out. It's just not a good situation. The other thing that's difficult is central banks are stuck between a rock and a hard place, because inflation, as we know, is out of control, and the way that they tame that, they have a very limited toolbox of things they can do. And raising interest rates is their main tool for bringing down inflation. Well, if you've got banks that have made a lot of investments in low interest government bonds, and then you're increasing interest rates, the value of their investments are going down. Who wants them? They become less and less valuable. So what do central banks do? Do they raise interest rates to then curb inflation? Or which then puts banks under pressure, or do they keep interest rates lower, which then lets inflation run wild, but then protects the banks? Like, what do they do? And we're not saying there's a perfect scenario, and not that we know the answer, but understand that can't see how this is going to end well, knowing that those are the two things on either side. It's very, very difficult. Just to throw it out there as well, and this is just a side note from us, we're hearing from customers that it's getting more and more difficult to actually buy precious metals.
Yeah.
And personally, our experience has been on our YouTube channel, when we've mentioned banks in a video, that video has been removed. We had 125 videos removed in one day.
On Friday last week, all of our videos got taken off.
No reason. This is not a strike, because maybe you didn't know this violated the community guidelines. That's what the wording was. Maybe you didn't know. So we're not going to give you a strike, but 125 videos have now been removed.
Wow.
They're all signs, aren't they? They're all signs.
Yeah.
I don't know what more we can say about that, but this is the reality.
Adam, is that on YouTube? That won't be on BitChute, will it? It's just on
YouTube. Just on YouTube. Just on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the emails that came through, they came through all together. Like the inbox just went 125. Remove. All said the exact same thing.
So because they can't actually prove that there's anything violent, racist, sexist, or anything about these shows, what they're just saying is we'll make up some complete story, because actually our masters in the banks and the deep state don't want ordinary people being empowered to buy gold and silver.
Exactly.
Well, that should be the greatest wake-up call to anybody.
It was to us, and that's why we're so pumped about getting this video out, because we want people to know what we're seeing and what the community's seeing, because people talk to us and they tell us their experiences, and we put it all together, and we want to then put it back out to the community so that we can empower each other.
Adam, that's why we set up Rumble and BitChute, you know.
Jay, sorry to interrupt you. Why don't, and that's the case, why don't you just, both of you guys, do a 2-minute video for YouTube and just put the link to BitChute, but don't say anything. Just say that's it, because if they're going to take this one down as well, all the people who would look on our YouTube, if they see that link then to the website or something, then they'll just go. You might save a lot of people.
We did that 2 years ago. We did that 2 years ago, Simon.
Right.
We got told that went against their guidelines as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we expected this. That's why we set up Rumble. That's why we had BitChute. You know, we just have to guide people there now. But we've even had a few customers in France, and they've said they've been censored for watching Rumble.
Yep.
You know, because they know that people are going to Rumble now for the information they need.
So where are the white hats then? Come on, Charlie. What's going on? Why are they stopping? Why are they allowing decent, good people to protect themselves? Surely,
because it has to be done this way, and I think deep down you and I both know this, that this has to be exposed.
I just get cross.
It can't just we can't just tell people. If we told people, they wouldn't believe us, and there'll be a lot of people watching this that won't believe it. People actually have to physically see it, and for those people, for Simon and my audience who are wide awake, they get it. But we're still in the minority. There are people that are still fast asleep, and we're just trying to wake them up gently.
Plenty of them.
By showing them, because they won't believe us if we just. And Simon and I have had this discussion so many times that it's quite sad that you have to take people's money away before they will wake up.
It is sad that it gets to that point, and like we've said, there's people that have watched our videos and still haven't done anything, and maybe when they're seeing banks collapse and they're going, oh, maybe some of that stuff that we were saying is true and is now coming out, which we just hope it's not too late. That's our hope. Well, look, what can we do? What can people do? We find a lot of people are on amber. They've heard the information, but they're ready, but they've not done anything yet. They've not set off. And our whole point is set off, do something, start the journey, get in contact with us, ask us questions. While you can, this stuff like this escalates very, very quickly. And if you're waiting to hear from the governments and the mainstream media, it's too late. Here's what happened in 2008. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We're in a everything's fine. Everything's collapsed.
Yeah.
Here's what happened with inflation. We've now seen it play out more recently. Printing all this money won't cause inflation. It won't cause inflation. It might cause a bit of inflation. It will, but it'll be transitory and it won't stay around very long. Actually, it's caused a lot of inflation. It's now a big problem. We don't really know how to solve it. When you see these things happen at the very first instance, that's your starting pistol. Go, do something, act now. Be in the group of people that actually does something and protect yourself and your family. That's exactly what's happened. Governments and countries don't want people to take action straight away. They drip feed it in little bit by little bit until the point you think, gosh, how did we get here? Well, bit by bit, the nudge factor. It's the thin end of the wedge, but that's when you need to take action.
And when you've taken some action, it gives you peace of mind. It really does. I can hear it in people's voices when I'm speaking to them, because I speak to customers on a daily basis now, and I can feel it when we've talked through some options and what they can do with what they have in their situation. And once they've got some direction and they've got some steps to take and they know what to do, they feel so relieved. You can hear it in their voice, and they have peace of mind. Right, I've got something to go and do now and try and protect my family. It helps. It's just, you just got to move, get off your backside and do something.
Yeah.
Do something for your family.
I guess we're at that point now where we're not mincing our words. We've kind of presented information in different ways, but now we're just saying, look, it's time. It's time. This is the alarm clock. And for us, here's what we do. Keep it very, very simple. We take ourselves out of the banking system and we put funds we buy metals. The metals are outside the banking system. And it's not, look, you can't take everything you've got, because we hear people that have got so much fear they want to sell their cat and their dog and buy gold. And we say, well,
the kids, everything, sell everything and buy gold. Yeah.
Let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Even that picture tells a story, doesn't it? Amber looks very, very close to the colour of gold, and it's got a green arrow pointing at it.
There we go. As if we planned it.
Charlie, you've been reading too much Freud again.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's it. If you need to do something, and you need to do it out of a place of logic and not out of a place of fear, because you end up not making the best decision.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: once you've done something, you need to switch off a little bit from it all, because you've done what you can. And there's some things that are out of your control and some things that are in your control. If it's in your control, do something about it. But if it's out of your control, you just have to let those things go. Otherwise, mentally, you're in a constant state of fear when you've took the action steps. The action steps are to take away a lot of the fear, because you've done something. And I think as well, mentally, if you look back and think, well, do you know what? In that scenario, I did what I could. I did my best. Then you'll be in a better mental frame of mind.
Definitely.
Forward.
Yeah.
I think it's people that look back and go, I wish I'd have done something. And that regret that weighs really heavy. And that's what we want to help people not have. You know, there's going to be life after this crash or mess or whatever it looks like. All we need to do as individuals is know that we did our best at the time to protect ourselves and our families.
And did something.
Put ourselves in a better position, because we don't know what's coming around the corner. Even Charlie and I don't know. So doesn't it make sense to actually place yourself in the strongest position to face whatever is coming? Yeah.
Live to fight another day. That's what we always talk about. We're taking ourselves out of that system to live to fight another day for whatever unfolds. And in this environment, we're not talking in this scenario about making loads of money. Not losing money is a win. That should be the goal.
Exactly.
Protecting, securing, and not losing should be the goal for everybody. And if you make anything, then
that's a bonus.
Absolutely,
that's a bonus. Yeah. Agree.
Absolutely. So please take on board what we've said. There's a lot of stuff going on, but from that, please have action steps that empower you to do something. And don't feel disempowered by just information. We get obese with information, but we need wisdom and action steps from that we protect ourselves, and then let some of this stuff go. Otherwise, we'll have everyone just really fearful. And what do governments and countries want? Scared people. Why? Because scared people do as they're told. Empowered people don't. Empowered people have their own views, and they have a backbone, and they stand up, and they're willing to speak out. But scared people just do as they're told. And we don't want people to be in that place. I know we've ranted on a little bit, but we feel very passionate about this.
Yeah, we do.
Well, if 120 of your videos have been taken down, I mean, that's the wake up call, isn't it?
It was for us. It was for us.
Every single one, Sam, we just kept popping up. But another one gone, another one, just get going.
But I can understand why, because there's a massive bank run going on at the moment, and they're going to do anything they possibly can to stop the bank run so they can get their money out. I've said it, and I'll say it again. This is why they're doing it. They're not doing it for you. They're doing it for them.
The thing is, when we see all those videos being removed, we don't think, oh, what have we done wrong? We think we're doing something right here. Sure. That's why they're taken down. So it only fuels us to keep going.
What would be interesting? What would be very interesting? Not you two guys, but to get two actors to talk about how important it was to put money in the bank, and then see how long that stayed up on YouTube. That would be so interesting.
It'd be to the top of the rankings straight away. It would bypass the algorithm and would be number one.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. It's madness. I hope what we've said is useful to people, and that people that are on the fence, as James always said, if you sit on the fence, you get a sore backside. That people do get off the fence and do something, and just please do something. Doesn't matter what it is, just do something. That's our cry for everybody.
Well, I think that was very, very constructive, and at a time like right now, the world is watching the banking system collapse, and this time we've been able to warn you in advance of what's happening. And for those people, the super rich know this because they're in their boys' club that tell each other. We're just trying to advise just normal people like ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Take control of your destiny. You might only have $1,000, $100, or $1,000, pounds, euros in the bank, but just make sure that you've only got the bare minimum in there to cover your bills. The rest of it, keep aside, whether it's silver coins, gold coins, whatever you can do. Protect yourself. And I heard somebody say the other day, it was very interesting. He said, Charlie, when are we going to be able to change all of our crypto into cash? And I said, hopefully never.
Never.
What you want to be able to do is have that has a value that you can spend. But the cash side of it is we're going to see the complete collapse of the old system of cash. Yes, there will be rainbow currency, but that's not out yet. So you don't want too much cash around because that will go to zero. Yes, there will be the opportunity to change the old money to the new money. Yes, there will, for sure. But just be wise and make sure that if the banks run out of money, and if just have gold and silver.
It's that vacuum, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah, it is.
Good guys coming in, the bad guys crashing it. We don't know how long is that vacuum. How long have we got to survive?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to be prepared for as much as you can be. Be prepared for what you can be. Do what you can.
Yeah.
Be prepared, guys, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you very much. And I hope this was constructive for our audience. But just make sure that you look after yourself because nobody else is out there is looking after you.
Never a truer word spoken. God bless everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. We'll speak soon. Cheers.
See you.